Alberta Lessard is 91 years old and lives in West Allis, Wisconsin. Over the past 50 years, she's been arrested more than 100 times and taken to the Milwaukee County Mental Health Complex. Doctors there have declared her to be mentally ill, suffering from paranoid delusions. Lessard was an elementary school teacher for more than 30 years. She also taught at Marquette University, training teachers as reading specialists.
I had a boy who I now think it would have been like an autistic. He could talk, but nobody at the school thought he could because he never talked once at school. They passed him on to my room, and so I was almost a whole year fighting with that kid to get him to talk. I didn't think I was going to make it, but right toward the end, he talked like everything. He could read, he could write, he could do everything.
In the late 1960s, without consulting teachers, the West Allis School District adopted alternative teaching methods to teach reading. Lessard refused to use these methods, and she was fired from both West Allis and Marquette University.
She was crushed. I mean, she lived, her life was dedicated to teaching, and her right to teach, or her ability to teach, had been taken from her.
The problem is that it's the elections that are corrupt, and if the people here don't do anything about it, they're going to get much worse. And
her behavior became erratic after that. She started showing up at school board meetings and at the dean's office at Marquette, demanding a hearing and refusing to leave. It was then that she began hearing voices and feared that goons, trained by Richard Nixon, were coming after her. In a panic, on the afternoon of October 29, 1971, Lessard scrambled to the windowsill of her second-story apartment and dangled from the sill. The police came and arrested her, and she was committed to the county's mental health hospital.
The West Allis police felt that this was very bizarre conduct. They didn't know how to deal with Alberta, so they said that conduct was constituted an attempt to commit suicide, and on that basis, they took her to the mental health center, and she was committed. One day she called me and told me that she was in a place called North Division, which was Milwaukee County's facility for committing people that they considered to be mentally ill. She asked me to come out and see her, and so I did, and it was a frightening experience. I remember it was a November day. I thought there were bats coming out of the place, and it was shocking. When I got inside, it was even more shocking. It was essentially, it was a jail. It wasn't a treatment facility. She very badly wanted to go home and was being held against her will. So I went back to my office and I read the law, and I couldn't really believe it. People could be committed indefinitely upon the signatures of 3 persons with no right to a hearing, no right. So if there's no right to a hearing, of course there's no right to a lawyer, there's no right to cross-examine, there's no right to do anything.
A few weeks later, civil rights lawyers filed a lawsuit in federal court, not only asking for Lessard's release, but also a look at the constitutionality of committing people with no rights to a trial or the representation of a lawyer.
Alberta Lessard was held at the mental institution for a long time before a hearing. I believe that was the basis of her case, and she certainly deserved to win it. I think that case changed the standard for the whole country for mental commitments.
In October 1972, the federal court ruled that the procedure for committing people like Lessard was unconstitutional. Unless they were found to be an imminent danger to themselves or others beyond a reasonable doubt, they could not be kept behind locked doors.
first of all, the people who they say are being committed have to have hearings. They have to be heard. need due process, and they need an attorney, or they need to be able to represent themselves. I'm saying everybody hates me from both sides. Those who want people committed and those who don't want people committed. They both hate me because they cannot get their way on what they want concerning mental commitment.
She has had a difficult time since those days and since losing her employment. As a result, she has been in and out of institutions and has been essentially poverty-stricken, and she has had emotional problems. There's no doubt about that.
I don't know. I thought this was a pretty good day. Like I told you, I never know what's going to happen. Well, I might as well now get going.